Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another one of our weekend streams. I am joined by the amazing, the fabulous, the wonderful, the all the wonderful things you can say about a person. Lance
Hmm.
from the Drum Guns, the Geek Drums Channel Nation. How's it going, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Cannot complain.
So today, we had a lot of fun over the last couple of weeks. We've been ranking some stuff, and today we are ranking the Arrowverse crossover events. I love these events. Like before we even get into this, there's not one that I don't enjoy. Like they're always so much fun. They're always so much fun. Um, but I'm very excited to kind of see our differences. I know I can guarantee there's going to be some I have higher than you. There's going to be some that you have higher than me. Just in general, do you like these crossover events?
I love them. It's the one thing that I've been missing since this pre-COVID,
Sure.
this post-COVID world. I've been missing from the Arrowverse, and now that the Arrowverse is basically
But yeah,
dead, I'm really gonna miss them. That was like
sure.
peak television. I look forward to the crossovers every year. I love the behind-the-scenes things that they used to do. I'm about to cry now.
Sure. I've been kind of rewatching not all of them, but most of them. And like each crossover seeing less and less of the characters I love like over the years, it's really sad. And kind of by the point you get to like art like the like Armageddon event, it's like yeah, we kind of went through like a hellhole for 2 years. We couldn't do crossovers. And kind of seeing where we kind of left our crossover, like Crisis was supposed to be like a whole new kind of like generation, and of course we'll talk about that later, but like a whole new stepping stone for this universe. And then it's like, oh yeah, we never did one again, not in that way, of course. We'll talk about one of them afterwards, but yeah, as we kind of get into this, we're doing it a little differently. I was explaining to Lance before we jumped on stream. We're not going to do the back and forth thing that people normally do. Here, I have a. Did I drop one? No, I didn't. Here, I have a hat of 9 crossover events. Now, just to kind of. I forgot to set up before, but um, just to kind of go through all the crossovers for you guys real quick. So if you guys want to rank them along with us as we kind of go along here, we have Flash versus Arrow, we have Heroes Join Forces, we have World's Finest, we have Invasion, we have Duets, we have Crisis on Earth X, we have Elseworlds, we have Crisis on Infinite Earths, and we have The Flash's Armageddon. Not quite a crossover, but close enough. Um, but yeah, do you have any final thoughts and comments before we kind of jump into our individual rankings?
Um, Not really.
All right, we'll start it off right off the bat. I'll let you go first once I read this off. Here's which one we start with. Interesting one to start off with. We have Duets, the solo Flash and Supergirl crossover events. What's your thoughts on Duet? Where do you place Duet?
Um, I place duet like on the bottom.
Really?
I mean, it's cool for a musical episode, but it lost me when Music Meister wasn't an actual villain.
Sure.
He just came to teach them a lesson. So I feel as if like he got off scot free. He robbed a bank. Put them in trances. Literally, could have killed them. Could have got them killed. Only for love. Like, why are you so invested? We never figured out why he was so invested.
Sure.
The only redeeming factor for that episode was watching Wally get his mojo back and getting that, precursor, getting that look into what it would be like for Vibe and him to team up like they were doing at the beginning of season 4. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's honestly my favorite parts of the episode was him, John, and
Cisco.
Cisco out
Yeah.
there fighting Music Meister. Like that was
That
the
was great.
favorite. That was my favorite part of the episode.
Yeah, fair. See, like we talked about before, how our rankings are be a little different. It's at number 3 for me. I really like Duet, and this is just a part of me. Here's the thing: I don't think it's a great Flash episode or even a great Arrowverse episode, but I think it was a fun episode. Like I love musicals, and I think like getting to have these characters flex their musical muscles is a lot of fun, right? I think I what I love about this episode is we kind of get to see Car and Barry together, which is not like romantically, obviously, but like I like that friendship is so much fun to me, and I almost think that's them at their best. I think it's just kind of two pals goofing off, having fun, and I like getting to see almost weirdly enough, almost like this Elseworld vibe with all these kind of heroes popping in. We got Malcolm Merlin, we got Win, we got Joe, and we got I said Malcolm already. We kind of get all these characters in this Elseworldy type like environment that I think is just really fun to watch. And yeah, again, I think the Cisco stuff, the John Jones stuff. John Jones, just seeing him in a crossover was sweet. Like he never
Yeah.
got enough crossover love. He got that, and then I guess he's a little bit, but besides Crisis, he didn't get much crossover love. So that was always fun to see. Um, but yeah, I enjoy Darren Chris as Music Meister. I've always kind of thought of him as like a god, weirdly enough, like this kind of like Cupid god angel like creature that kind of like I'm gonna save your relationship. But you are right that it didn't quite make sense. Like they never really explained who he was and where he was from. And I don't know, it maybe would have been cool. I don't know. I kind of wish he would have come back at some point, kind of. But I don't know what they would have done with that.
I will say I did like Darren Chris is Music Meister
Yeah.
because I'm a fan of Darren from Glee.
Hmm.
So yeah, I enjoyed that for what it was. I was happy to see what he would bring to a original character that came from a cartoon.
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah. I have a lot of fun with that one. On to our. Do you have any final thoughts before we move on to our next one?
I'm glad they never did another musical episode.
I wanted like an Arrow one. That would have been fun.
Saying Stephen Amell sing.
Get legends in there. All right. Next up, we have Heroes Join Forces. Very bad handwriting. Heroes Join Forces.
That's the Vandal Savage one.
Yes, that is. I forgot to put the photo on the last one, but yes, that's the.
That's the lead into Legends of Tomorrow.
Yes.
Uh just for nostalgia, this is by far the second to weakest for me as far as like a full-fledged crossover.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that because the whole undertone with like Oliver and find out about his kid and Barry reversing time again and changing things again. Well, not again, but like just starting out that whole I can change time when I want to. Yes, he saved everybody, but like introducing Hawkman and Hawkgirl, that was cool.
Yeah.
But I would rank this if I got Duet at like number 8. No, what was Duet? I had it at
You said it was second to the bottom.
so that's how many is it altogether? Like 9, right?
There's 9. Yeah.
So I had Duet at number 8. I would put this 7.
7. Alrighty.
Only because it has messy parts, but they were just getting their footing with trying to balance all of these characters in crossovers.
Yeah, I think this is my personal least favorite crossover. I'm not a huge. I like this is really the first one, right? Like this is like we had Flash versus Arrow, which was the first one, but this felt like it was the first one that was kind of like entering into their crossover phase. It wasn't just Barry and Oliver. Now we had Barry and Oliver and Speedy and Black Canary and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know if it's because like I feel like maybe like the bad taste in my mouth with Mantle that we got later on, right?
Yeah,
Because ultimately I don't like Mantle, not too much.
me
At
either.
least not, like what he becomes later on. But I do think again, like there's no crossovers I dislike, and I do think this first crossover again, the stuff between Barry and Oliver are great. These two kind of broing out, romancing, these back and forth is amazing. It's cool to kind of get the Hawks in there at first, right? Like
Yeah,
that was a cool thing. Like we had a Hawkman and a Hawkgirl. That's sick.
with their
Like we were
Wolverine suits.
sure, yeah. Yeah, we like we were expanding this universe. There's also I wasn't watching live back then, but like I assume there was that hype of like we're getting a spinoff. Like, like how are we expanding this ongoing universe?
I am not gonna lie, bro. I was watching like the shows live. Like this is when me and my wife were like just dating, and
Hmm.
when we found out about this and about Legends of Tomorrow, like we were hyped. Like
Sure,
we watched this, and like of course the first watch, we were hyped. But as I started rewatching and rewatching, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm noticing the flaws.
sure. Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned it. Uh, keep talking while I check these up. I totally dropped all the crossover cards.
You dropped your crossover cards.
I
Well,
know.
I guess this is the Geek Drums takeover. Um, 3 Dubs. I'm about to send you a link. We're taking over this stream, and we're gonna talk about Iris and Barry having to earn their love
Oh my.
for something.
Well, I'm back. I will say the whole action figure was it? Oh, with Captain Cold, playing with like the little Captain Cold. That was silly. Who like marketed that?
I found it weird when they would put the real life action figures in the show,
Sure,
and because it's like, how do you guys know what DC Comics is if you're literally a DC Comics property?
sure. Also, well, that's not an issue for me. I think the issue is Captain Cold was the killer. We're just letting kids play with a little
That's true.
serial killer. They also had those like Zoom milkshakes, the like coffees, and the like Killer Frost mochas and stuff like that.
Frost. Bring her back.
I thought she was back,
I
kind
don't know
of.
what that thing is in that cryo chamber.
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous for all of that. But yeah, I mean, I'd be curious, and again, I don't know if you mentioned it before, but like the Felicity stuff is probably like my hate for Felicity at like that's where it began for me. And I like Felicity. Like this isn't some coming from someone who like hates that character. I really enjoy her when she's good. But I think that was kind of the start of like, oh, this is not going in in the direction I want it to go. Were you a fan of that whole plot line?
No, that began the era of irritating Felicity because you're Oliver made a dumb decision not to tell her once he did find out that the kid was his, but at the same time,
Yeah,
I hate when they do that in TV. He didn't know about the kid, so you have no right to be upset that he has a son.
yeah,
You could be upset because he opted not to tell you, but honestly, until he figured out the entire situation, he didn't have to tell you.
sure.
That's just my
It was
thinking.
also just weird timing. Like they're trying to like save the world.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else happened in this crossover. We had the whole like Joe finding out that Harry's back, that Harry's there, and he tries to shoot Harry, if I remember correctly. And all that stuff was good. I also just think that Arrow season four bled through here. Like I think just like for
Yeah.
Arrow, the fight scenes weren't the greatest. The dialogue in some scenes weren't the greatest. I think just has like an undertone that isn't my favorite. And this was my least favorite episode of the Flash season two, a season that I love. I think this is its weakest episode.
That's
Would
true.
you agree with that?
I would agree. I
Okay.
highly agree. I really felt they were so focused on. I hate when crossovers when you still have you have to keep the plot lines from the actual. I'm glad they grew away from that.
Sure.
and there goes my light. I'm glad they grew away from that because that ruins the plot. But it also they started incorporating more shows into crossovers.
Sure.
That's when Invasion they perfected it with
Yeah.
Invasion.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think they usually did a pretty good job at balancing what stories to cross over and what stories to stick in the main show. Usually. But yeah, I really I like this one. Not my favorite though. It's still my least favorite. But again, like I'm still praising this crossover. That just proves how much I enjoy all these crossovers. Like I think
Yeah.
they're all pretty fun. All right, up next, let's see what we have here. I have Elseworlds. What do you think of the Elseworlds crossover event?
Oh, top tier, top
Top
tier.
tier, number one.
I, I'm not gonna say number one. I'd say number three.
Number three. Alrighty.
I love Elseworlds. Like I rewatched that religiously. I remember seeing all the set photos from Canada Graphs. I remember where I was at watching each episode. I love Elseworlds. Like that was just trippy. Hearing the Somebody Save Me again when they went to
Oh, that was
Earth
sweet.
38. Like, come on. Like, I was hyped. When I found out that Tyler Hecklin was gonna be in this, I was sold.
Yeah, that was great.
When I found out John Wesley Shipp was gonna be in this as Earth 90 Flash, when I saw the costume leak and that literally the Flash costume designers like basically remade it because the old suit was brittle and trash, but like they created an exact replica. Oh, they had me. I would have liked Barry to have asked him like, how did you get so jacked?
Sure. Yeah, I love the Invasion crossover. It's my personal number four. Just because I'm not a fan of part one of this event, and I think I don't know. Sometimes part one feels like it's trying to kind of be like a parody of itself, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, right? It's not necessarily a negative for me, but I think sometimes when Grant Gustin is Oliver Queen, it feels like they're kind of making fun of the show Arrow. They definitely make fun of the pet talks and like the
I like
quarterbacking
that
and
though.
ears.
I found that refreshing. I like when a
Sure,
show could make fun of itself.
that's fair. That's fair. I'm just not a fan of a lot of it. I also think, and maybe this is just me not like knowing how this works, but I think Ralph Dibny punching Barry, who has the skills of Oliver, like knocking him out, is dumb. Was I the only one who thought that?
I thought it was dumb, but then again, like he wasn't paying attention. And remember, he wasn't tapping into that Oliver Queeniness.
That's fair. I don't know. I'm not a fan. Do you? Okay. Are you a fan of? Again, like this may all just be nitpicky thing. Maybe I just didn't like Outsource. I don't know. But oops, don't do that. Oops. But I do think their like non-trustingness to like trust that what happened to Barry and Oliver was weird to me. That I wasn't a huge fan of that. Again, like they trust like every other like Tom, Dick, and Harry that walks upon the street. But like when Barry and Oliver are there and like, hey, something's wrong, fix us. They're just like, nah, you can't think
I
you're lying.
I would like to think that that was all part of the illusion, and I always convinced myself that the monitor had some doing in that.
Okay, fair, I guess. So like they made them less trusting.
Yeah, and
Okay, fair.
plus it's Team Flash. They don't listen to Barry half the time anyway.
Yeah. But it's only that first episode I don't like. And not even I don't like it because like I think once they get on the Kent farm, it's great. Like I think again, like you said, having Tyler there, amazing. Freaking loved it. Tyler, this might I like up until this point, I always loved Tyler Hoechlin Superman, even in Supergirl. I love that like adaptation of the character. But I think this on Earth Prime is his best. Like this is Tyler Hoechlin at his best for me. Seeing this that like four character lineup: Barry, Oliver, Kara, and Superman. It's great. Like that like shirt rip he does when Cisco comes in. It's perfect.
Yep, and that also made me realize this is the season where Cisco just had those cut up hands the whole time.
Was that the Mecha Flash? No, no, that was after Crisis.
Yeah, Mecha Vibe was after Crisis.
Okay. Now this was the crossover we met Kate Kane, our citizen original Batwoman, not our new Batwoman. But did you like her like introduction here?
I liked the introduction. I hated the way they went about it in her series
Interesting.
by having us start from the very, very beginning and then catch up to where Elseworlds was.
Yeah, that was weird. That time, like, I'm very confused where Batwoman sits on the timeline. And then, like, 2 episodes later, we're just at Crisis. It's like, wait a minute, how does this line up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I Was Superman did a shirt rip on Superman Lois. Has he not? I thought he did.
Has he not?
I thought he did in that flashback episode when he went into the
Oh,
booth.
did.
I swore he did. I could be wrong though. I know he hasn't done it a bunch, but I don't know. Elseworld has a great score. I think all the crossovers have a pretty great score.
Pretty great score, amazing cinematography.
Yeah, that Batwoman score in here is great. Like it's her main theme, I think, but it's fantastic. Yeah. Um, Earth 3. I'm trying to think what else. This I remember being disappointed when we ended it. I'm like, okay, that's it, all right. But I when they teased at the end, like Crisis on Infinite Earths, it
I
made so
went
much
nuts.
sense.
I went nuts. I went nuts when they did that.
It all made so much sense.
Yep.
Everything. I'm like, oh, I get it now. I get why they're doing this. Were you mad? Because back then, I was very much in the Legends back then, right? I was a huge fan. Were you mad that they weren't here? That like they weren't in the event?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Even
felt
after
as if
watching it.
even after watching it, I mean, I get why they scaled back because they were like reserving their funds and stuff for Crisis. I get why they scaled back and went smaller, but at the same time, it did piss me off a little bit.
Okay. How would you have like introduced them then? Like where would you have put them in at?
Oh, excuse me. In that alternate, well, in the last alternate Earth was Gary,
Okay, you would have had like Sarah or something.
Sarah, Sarah or Ray,
Okay,
just
that's
like in
fair.
that bar with Gary in that alternate world, like
Yeah, Gary's
just random.
a random choice. He's
It
not who I
was
would have chose.
it was very random, and that's before we knew about the alien thing with Gary too. So
Yeah, Gary's not my favorite. Gary's not one of my good friends. Yeah, I mean I remember being very upset that they weren't in it. But like once it came it made sense because I do think that crossover is again very important for Crisis. And I think they needed a final push with these three as your leads. Like Oliver has to like solidify his bond with Barry and Kara before that scene with the like monitor. You
yeah,
know, the Barry and Kara are different scene is so good. Like that's probably that might be my favorite Arrowverse scene is the like him yelling at the monitor to save Barry and Kara. It's so good. Alrighty, do you have any final thoughts on the Elseworlds crossover?
it will forever be one of the most goated crossovers in Arrowverse history. They went nut that. That's when they really started thinking outside the box.
Sure. Oh yeah, for sure. I think by this point they were like, okay, this is a thing now. We have to start like doing different stuff. I actually remember being very confused by the title. Like I remember very much
I
not
was
liking this
I was
title.
no, I tell you, I'm thinking that I was thinking by Elseworlds, I'm thinking we were going to be getting like several different storylines, like that they
Sure.
weren't all going to tie together.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think this one turned out. really well. All right, up next, let's see. We have Crisis on Earth X. Do you like Crisis on Earth X?
Number one.
Number one.
That's my favorite. I love Crisis on Earth X.
Oops. No, I 100% agree. Um, Crisis on Earth X is probably my favorite. This is a hot take, I think. It's my favorite DC thing in general, I think. Like, it's probably my favorite, like, combination of episodes of television ever made. Like, it's just like a mini movie. It's like a mini little movie
Exactly.
that
You took the words right out of my brain, bro. Like, this is it's literally a movie.
it is.
Well put together. The overarching plots from the other shows don't bleed in at all.
Yeah.
We
It's
got
actually,
some of the best pre Zen, well, pre post crisis Wally action that we have ever gotten. Um, just like the wedding thing in
yeah,
general, them addressing all the civilians seeing their identities with having Mick going and brain wiping the people. They didn't miss a beat.
yeah,
Stein's death was handled very very well. Um, the connection between him and him and Jax, and how that was affecting him, I loved it. Reintroducing Thawne again, having him do the joke talking about some like this face, handsome. I loved that. Seeing them having the verse, doppelgangers of themselves, getting to see Metallo again, getting to see Red Tornado again.
yeah, yeah.
Like this crossover can do no wrong. And then the legends, they came in at the right time. They didn't need to be. Everybody
Sure.
was where they were supposed to be. They weren't forced. They weren't shoehorned in. It was planned out to the T. Everybody had an ample enough amount of screen time.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I made a tweet earlier. I don't know if you saw the tweet. Oops. But I had a tweet that got kind of big. I'm like, it's crazy that we had Crisis on Earth X and the Justice League movie in like the same month. I think like it came out very close to each other.
Yeah.
And this did it like a trillion times better. Like it's just like the perfect combination of all the shows at the right time. All the storylines work like in parallel to each other. This is the most consequences, I think. I mean, outside of Crisis, clearly, but even then, like each like I don't know if a crossover has affected the show like killing off Martin in the way that they did. I mean, I guess you killed off Oliver in Crisis, so I guess I can't say that. But yeah, I mean, clearly it's also my number one. It's my favorite. It like this is peak Arrowverse. Like Arrowverse never got better than this right here.
Facts.
I can't. Of course, you touched on it. The wedding scene. It's like a good. Like I was rewatching it the other day. It's like a 5 minute fight scene. Like it's so good. The way like their powers connect. Cisco, like Oliver jumping through the breach, Wally using his powers. Kara's like power clap. Um, just the like character interactions with with everyone is so perfect.
Heatwave
Um,
literally facing Nazis with a fire gun is something I never knew I needed.
sure, I love just everyone brings it.
Prometheus,
Tommy Prometheus was great.
that was unexpected, bro. That was mind blowingly
Sure,
unexpected.
it was great.
World's best kept secret, bro. World's best
Yeah.
kept secret. I remember like the key art for it first coming out like right before Comic-Con, and seeing the animation, like the
Sure.
comic book cover that they used.
Oh,
I'm like,
it's
oh
so
come
good.
on.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh come, I'm ready. I'm ready. Let me give it to me
Yeah.
now.
And like it felt so epic because like they didn't do like one episode a day thing. They did 2 episodes 2 days in a row. That felt like an event. Oh, it's so good. There, I can nitpick like so many great moments. Thawne saying that he fought Superman was great. I wish we could have saw that. That final fight too, in like part four, where it's just that the Thawne and Barry fight. Can't wait to see what face I'm wearing next time we meet Flash. And oh, it's so good.
He still just kept on the same face. That's
He
funny.
did well. He stole Barry's face in Armageddon.
Oh, that's true.
I wonder if that's what he meant. I mean, I doubt that's what the writers meant,
I
but
mean, Armageddon, like, he stole Barry's face, but still went and put Thawne's back on.
yeah,
I'm like, and you stole, and like, Barry, how didn't you know about that in that moment? Like, he did all that damage after you left. We'll get to that though. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I have several nitpicks about that.
sure. Yeah, and I love seeing these heroes as villains too. Like that's a lot of fun.
Kara
Uh,
plays a very, very convincing villain.
yeah,
Melissa Benoist, yeah,
so good. She did it twice. She played the
yeah.
villain twice. Do you have a problem with it being Reverse Flasher? Do you have an issue with that?
No, because if we, the introduction of the Ray and Leo Snart,
Perfect.
perfect. Um, but no, I don't have a problem with it being Reverse Flash. I found it fitting that it was Reverse Flash, that he
Sure.
would be the ones to bring them to this Earth. We know that it was a dark Flash on this Earth, but if you watch the animated show, the Ray, I think he died.
Yeah, I think so. I have not seen that show in so long. My
So,
goodness.
I mean, it makes sense. Can we talk about how the Ray's origin story is so convoluted though in the Arrowverse?
Yeah.
The Ray from Earth X died, and somehow his particles went into the Ray from Earth One, and I'm like, so every time a version of the Ray dies on a different Earth, their particles goes to a non-powered version. It's
Yeah, I
weird.
didn't. Yeah, it's definitely weird. But again, like I loved the fact that we didn't get to see Ray and Leo again. Kind of hurts my heart.
I love
Um,
Russell Tovey. I'm mad they used archive footage for Crisis for him.
yeah, he should have been there. I don't know. I would have preferred him over some of the others. I think. I was trying to think like there's part of me that was thinking like, is there some way like a spinoff would have worked with them, like a limited series or something where we follow them trying to rebuild Earth X or something. I don't know. But yeah, I do hope we get some version of Wentworth Miller this season though. He's
Same.
I don't care if it's Leo or Snart or any of the other doppelgangers we've seen. It's actually crazy how that man keeps coming back in some way or another. If it's as Gideon or a doppelganger, he's always around.
I forgot about the Gideon.
I know. I forget about it each time, and then when I went back to rewatch it this past week, I was like, oh yeah, they snuck him in there. Although I wonder if I don't know. I kind of shocked they couldn't get him like Crisis would have been a perfect opportunity to bring him back. We'll talk about Crisis. We'll get there. Yeah. Any final thoughts on Crisis on Earth X?
Goated season. I mean, goated season. Goated crossover, the best crossover that the Arrowverse has ever done.
Yeah.
I don't think anything can top that. They made Nazis. They made fighting Nazis cool again.
Alrighty. Up next, I have Invasion. The Invasion, the first big crossover.
Bruh. Two though. Two for me.
Two.
I need a longer cord. Woo. Why don't I have my actual light on in here? Give me 1 second. But it's two for me.
Alright. While you're getting that, I really like Invasion. I think you okay? Okay. I am a big fan of Invasion. I have a lot of nostalgia for this crossover because it was like the first official one. Like this was the one that kind of started it all off. Like this was like their
Yeah.
introduction. I have mine at number 5. I know I like it, but I do think there's a couple things that kind of not drag it down, but some things I'm not a big fan of. I do think a big one is of that is Cisco. I don't know if you agree with me. I think as much as that storyline is warranted, I wish they wouldn't have sold it so hard here. I kind of wish they would have maybe skipped a week or so and then kind of went back to it. Do you agree?
I agree.
Yeah. I think I was never a big fan of the Wally plotline here either. Them just treating Wally like he's like normal. Like Wally is still like single handedly, even not trained, more powerful than like almost everyone else on the team outside of Barry and Supergirl. Like
Yeah.
it, ridiculous how I get maybe not wanting him to be front and center, but like they treated him like a baby in this event. They gaslighted him. They literally gaslighted him to make him think that he wasn't strong. Um, oops. But I think for this being the first one, and this was like the first one of its kind, like TV, like 3-part, 4-part TV crossovers weren't a thing. Like at least in live action, maybe in like on Disney Channel or whatever. But like now there's so many of these type of things, but these weren't a thing back then. You were combining 3 like productions, 3 casts, 3 scripts, all this fun stuff, and kind of combining it. And I think this is a great hero lineup. Like I love the lineup of like this set of legends with this set of the like trilogy. I think is a whole lot of fun.
I agree.
Yeah. I rewatching it, and I do think that there's so many like storylines that I feel like never got like paid off properly. Or they tried, but they did the whole secret message to Barry Allen in this crossover, and that always makes me laugh because they really didn't
Yeah,
use
because of the
that.
convoluted thing with Savitar that they tried to. It was weird. No, Elseworld was three dubs. Elseworlds was three.
Yeah, do you think that was supposed to be Savitar at first, or do you think they just threw it in there to kind of wrap it up?
I don't. This was Todd Helbing by himself, so who knows?
I don't know. It just felt to me like they kind of just was like, we don't feel like telling that no more. Here's a weird answer.
It was adult Barry telling Rip Hunter not to trust young Barry, but that doesn't make sense. They wouldn't need to tell you not to trust him because you could see his face.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one for sure. But I think just like the fun of everything makes it all worth it. Arrow had its 100th episode here, which is my favorite 100th episode of the Arrowverse.
I agree.
Yeah, I would say it's my favorite of all time, but then there's Smallville, which like that 100th episode is so good. Um, I kind of wish it wasn't there though, but I get they needed all those characters back, so it makes sense.
I
But
found it odd that they put it during a crossover event, but I mean, I
yeah,
get it.
I did not like Wild Dog in this crossover either. Wild
Making
Dog's
him
arc,
racist towards meth.
it was so weird. It didn't even make sense. He has basically a meta on his team already. Ragman, not technically a meta, basically a meta.
Yeah,
Made no sense. Oliver had to use magic the previous season. He wasn't there for that, but still, it's weird. But I think the final part is great. It's perfect. We get that sweet Arrowverse lineup shot. It's always so good. Um, yeah, I don't have much to say about Invasion. It was number 5 for me. I love it, but it's kind of in the middle area for me.
it was their literal, it was their first attempt at a
Yeah,
mega crossover, and I think that they nailed it
yeah,
in that aspect.
I agree. I agree. I think for what they're trying to do is perfect. Firestorm, that was his first time like doing the trans the
Transmuting
yeah.
matter.
That was great. And then we met Lily too, I think.
Yeah,
Lily was great.
I
I
was
know
so confused when that happened though.
he never did it again, did he? Not very much at least.
Um, Transmuting the matter? No, not
Yeah.
really.
It is crazy how like powerful Firestorm can be. I wish, I kind of wish Lily would have stuck around though. Like I kind of wish she would have stayed past Martin. I know we just talked about Crisis.
She could have joined Team Flash or become Firestorm.
Yeah, I think I get they wanted him off because of budgets and stuff, but I wish Firestorm. Like, there's so many ways they could have kept Firestorm around. You could have brought Ronnie back. You could have had a solo Firestorm, maybe.
Yep.
I get it though, budget. Alrighty, our next one here
Is Go-Go Power Rangers.
is Armageddon. We talked about that a little bit. Our newest, the latest, the last possible crossover type thing. What's your thoughts on Armageddon?
It's hard for me to rank this. It's hard for me to rank this. Because while it is like some of the best storytelling, the guests, quote unquote, fall short.
Sure.
Everybody knows my favorite show, my favorite character is Black Lightning. Everybody knows that. I wanted more. I get it. It was a 5-episode event. It was going to be a character each of the 5 episodes. You could have just made these regular Flash episodes. Ray was not needed. They just used him as a catalyst to push, to use somebody to make this Quincy P. Runk Foundation. Alex, I don't know why she's even on the poster because she served the same role as Ryan Choi. Mia, her showing up in that last episode was pointless. It did not resolve anything with William from the Green Arrow and the Canaries pilot.
Yeah.
And Ryan did nothing in the present day. That's why I'm excited about this season.
Yeah.
But those nitpicks aside and the obvious whole convoluted reverse Flash stuff, I'd say this is like 6. No, yeah, 6 for me. Just because he got the gold boots. The story was cohesive at times. It's just when they got to that back half with the reverse Flash stuff, it's when they lost me. Because I'm like, okay, how did he just show up after Barry and continue to trash the city? When did he make all of these changes to the timeline so that he was Flash and and Barry was reverse Flash? Just a few questions and nitpicks.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of what you said. I think you get like what 7 guest stars to pop in on your show, and none of it was really canon to like our timeline.
No, like it all, which just irritated me.
Yeah,
like that pissed me off.
Like Barry teaming up with like Jefferson, like that episode 3 was my favorite. Just the Barry and like Jefferson stuff was fantastic.
I loved that.
I agree. I wanted more. Like he's like, all right, I'm gonna go. I'm like, no, stay.
Like I need Cress to come back. I know it's not gonna happen, but I just need real Cress and real Barry to share a scene.
Sure. Yeah, and same with Ryan. Like I was so excited because this was her first like introduction to this whole world. I was so curious how she was going to do it because she's never really faced off against many humans before. Her world is very grounded. I wasn't even sure how aware she was of the superhero world, and I was so excited for her. I will say, I loved her and Iris. I thought her and Iris was probably one of the highlights of the whole crossover for me. And I'm super excited for that friendship. And again, like, it feels like you wasted these cameos. Again, you brought in Mia. I was like, all right, that spinoff didn't happen. Let's wrap up her spinoff. And that's one knot we don't have to look back on. And they didn't do it. what was the point? Why'd you bring her in the first place? I liked Ray a lot. I'll be honest. I think Ray was one of my favorites. I just liked kind of this him hanging out with our team. Um, wish he would have stayed. I feel like he could have come back around or something. Again, Alex, I liked that she came back, but she didn't do nothing. And Ryan was weird, or Ryan Choi, not Ryan Wilder. I thought
Oh,
like
he was so annoying.
I didn't understand because I had said I'm not saying I necessarily wanted it, but after Crisis, I was like, oh, they're clearly setting him up to get his own show or something, right? Like that's what it felt like. I know the actor's canceled now, but
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe we're setting it up, maybe. And he didn't do nothing. He just, I mean, got that new suit. It was fine. But yeah, I think I did like the new Reverse Flash suit, and I thought Barry wearing Thawne's suit and Thawne wearing his suit was pretty sweet.
It's like they made the Reverse Flash suit specifically for Grant, like Cal and all, but Tom filled out Barry's Flash suit way more.
Yeah, I wonder if that. I'll be curious now that we know that Matt Lesher's coming back. If he'll wear this new suit, I hope so because I think he'll look really good in it.
That would be cool, but I'm not holding my breath. It's gonna be the yellow leather and black, the unripened banana.
Sure. I will say I did really like Iris in this crossover. I thought she felt like what I want from Iris, that like journalism type character that we haven't really seen much from her. I thought that was great. Did you think Joe was like really dead?
In that universe, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't want to believe it at first because that's the thing. Like it kept us guessing. I didn't know what was going on week to week. Like
yeah,
it kept us guessing. That's what makes a good crossover. They succeeded at that. They just failed with the, you know, like they never explained why was it taking the timeline so long to set in.
yeah. That's true. Did you like Damien here?
Yep, a redeemed Damien Dark. Definitely. I loved his character growth. I loved his character arc. He really just it's the same. He just wanted to do it for his daughter.
Yeah,
I can sympathize with that.
for sure. Yeah, it's so funny to me how well he works on every show that's not Arrow. Like you swap, you put like you put the I think you put the Arrow season 4 plotline in Flash and it works so much better. I seriously do. But yeah, I don't have too much else to say. I love that we got a glimpse at like our Justice League, our Arrowverse Justice League with like the Injustice Protocol. That
Yeah.
scene was so good, had me so hyped up for episode 3.
Remember when everybody thought that they were talking about real injustice?
Yeah,
Like they said injustice. I was like, oh my god, here goes Twitter.
I okay. I remember being very because this was in the era where we didn't know Superman Lois was canceled or not canceled. I'm sorry, like on its own. And like we had a whole plot line where like Superman's like, I'm gonna give this to John where he can be my like protocol. I'm like, who's your protocol over here? Who's your that probably would have been Kara, right?
Yep.
Either Kara or Kate, I guess. No, Kate's probably Kara's, and then Kara's probably okay, yeah. But yeah, I have nothing else on in Armageddon. We have about 3 more. I know you got to get out of here soon, so we'll try and zoom through some of these last ones. We have a big one. We have Crisis on Infinite Earths, a beefy boy, if you will. Thoughts on Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Said Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yes.
What did I just put this one as? 6?
I think so.
I don't have nothing at I'm gonna put Crisis at wait, what's the next one?
What's the next one after what?
what's the crossover after this one? Like, what's the ones we have left?
We have Flash versus Arrow, and we have World's Finest.
I'm gonna put this one at 5. It's just okay. It was it. I mean, it's exactly. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. This was fan service, the special. All to get all the CW shows on the same Earth to not confuse fans. That's exactly what the comic book set out to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I got to say on that. Oliver dying in the first episode, very
Dumb.
anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Uh, Seeing the cameos from the different people, them taking away Tom Welling's powers when they got us all hyped that he was showing up anyway. That was dumb. Having Lex become the paragon of truth after you already fired Brandon Routh and you basically kicked him to the curb again. That was dumb, but I'll leave that alone. It was just okay.
Sure.
Will I
Uh,
rewatch it from time to time? Yes. I loved Kate and Kara's friendship, though.
that
I
was
will say
great.
that.
Yeah, I. It's not the best, right? I don't think it's the best by any means. I think mine's at number 7. Um, but yeah, I mean, I still think like the hype. There's no denying the hype leading into this crossover was some of the most fun I've had as an Arrowverse fan. Like that year of like predicting and getting the photos and the announcements and and I think like despite them all not turning out, like getting Kevin Conroy, getting Tom Welling, getting freaking Lucifer, getting all of these characters from all these other shows, it's great. Um, I think the worst thing about this crossover is not what the crossover did, but like how they didn't need to do it ultimately because a year later Black Lightning ended and then the Supergirl ended and the Green Arrow and the Canary show, which they set up hard, didn't happen and almost everything like there it didn't need to happen. Like ultimately like at the end of the day we could have done something else. But I do think what it gave us and I think it's just a really fun crossover. I'll leave that there though, so we can get through these last two.
I've been crying because Crisis came and went. And when Crisis came and went, it left us with the vid.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot. Can you imagine if this and Endgame happened a year later? Although I will say, and I know you're a fan too, this gave us Black Lightning into the Arrowverse, and now forever
Yeah.
make me grateful. That scene between Oliver and, or sorry, Jefferson and Barry, it's perfect. It's so good.
I still say that I don't know how Oliver existed on Earth Prime if he died in Crisis, because Crisis doesn't exist on Earth Prime. It
Yeah,
never happened.
yeah, I am a little confused about that. I'm not a fan of what Crisis did for Arrow either. I know we're not talking about Arrow, but I think like bringing Tommy back and saving his mother and all that kind of fun stuff really kind of irked me. Because the Arrow show that we know just doesn't exist now, and
Yeah,
that's a little
basically.
sad. But yeah, I still enjoy this crossover. I think it has a lot of fun stuff. I personally enjoy the whole Lex replacing Superman thing, just because that's such a Lex thing to do. Like, I really enjoy that. Although Ryan being a Paragon makes no sense to me. The Paragons in general don't make sense to me. But real quick, we have World's Finest, the first like
The
Supergirl's
very
introduction.
first. Aw, it's so young, so adorbs. Ah, this started the long line of one-off crossovers where a superpowered character would come on another person's show and just get knocked on the floor. So yeah, for that, I'm putting that at I don't. I'm putting this one last. I just didn't like Barry. You went to her Earth. You got knocked down. You stayed there, and she defeated the villain.
Yeah. Yeah, and by Livewire is not that kind of villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's my only real issue with it. If I'm being honest, I think everything else, like, yeah, that's not great, and of course some of the dialogue in that season one wasn't great. Um, but I think Barry and Carr just kind of having fun together. Uh, like this friendship is one of my favorites in the entire Arrowverse. So getting that again, just like Duet, I think them getting that time to kind of bond. And weirdly enough, I think there's something fun about James being jealous over Barry. And that scene where he's like explaining the timeline to Kara, and then he goes to get ice cream is such a fun scene. I have it again, like the stuff you said, and just like it's hard to rank one episode of a crossover to like a 5 episode event that all that kind of fun stuff. But and also the race at the end was really cool. But it's my number 7.
Huh. Fair. That's fair.
And we end our little chat with the one that kind of started it all. The first one, Flash versus Arrow. Thoughts on Flash versus Arrow?
Um, I thought it was great. It's what started it all. It was good to see the characters, meeting each other. Seeing Thawne basically trying to manipulate Joe because he knows Joe's disdain for, the Arrow at that time. Trying to manipulate Joe into getting rid of Oliver Queen so it doesn't mess with his plans.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all the little plot threads. Seeing Oliver shoot Barry with an arrow. You
so
know,
iconic.
it was great. Seeing Diggle freak out for like the first couple of times.
Yeah, there's something so iconic about this crossover. This is one of my favorite episodes of the Arrowverse. Me and Eric went over this episode about a year ago by this point, and I love almost everything about this crossover. I think again it symbolizes like this is my favorite. The Flash season 1 is my favorite like season of the whole Arrowverse. I love it so much, and I think the little like dynamics of these two characters, Oliver and Barry, the slow decline and Barry kind of losing it with
Rainbow
Rainbow
getting
Raider.
whammy by Rainbow Raider.
Yeah,
Can
just
you
like
just imagine if it was still Rainbow Raider, but it was the new Rainbow Raider, and Oliver had to deal with that?
yeah, we would have been done really quickly.
Yeah, he would have just shot him for dancing.
Sure. Yeah, and of course the fight. Like the fight's so iconic. It's
The
so much
fight was
fun.
great.
I see the fight getting bullied on Twitter a lot, and I don't get it. It looks great. Evil Barry is fun too, just like destroying Eddie. Poor Eddie.
Yeah.
That was great. And just these kind of characters like meeting for the first time. You're like Diggle and Thawne, and you're Diggle and Felicity and all that kind of fun stuff. I think it's a lot of fun. It's my number 2.
Okay.
Number 2, right under Crisis on Earth X. That's all I had. That's all the crossovers. We went over all the big ones. Of course, I wasn't going to talk with the comic. There's the crossover comic. That was great. Not fair to compare them to the the episodes itself.
Yeah, I would give the comic a 7.5 out of 10 though.
I really enjoyed the comic too. And again, I enjoyed all these. There's currently 0 people watching, but if
Oh, they'll watch it on reviews.
Yeah,
They'll be all right.
On playback, go follow Lance. If you're seeing him for the first time, go follow Lance. He's doing stuff on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, all linked down below. Go check him out. Try to get him to 1,000 subscribers. I'm usually over there on his channel on Mondays talking about all the things throughout the week. So if you want to check all that stuff out, make sure y'all do so. Lance, thank you so much for talking about crossovers with me. I've been kind of sick today,
No
but
problem.
I appreciate you hopping on here and chatting for about an hour.
Anytime. We just got to plan it.
For sure. For sure. But yeah, without further ado, I'll see you guys on the flip side.
All right.
Bye-bye.